Ladies and gentlemen, you hear it there. Our policies as regards women, when 50% of our population are marginalized, are tokenized, even when they're part of the political system, they play no role in decision-making or policy formulation. They're just being used there, to create that facade, that we honor the rights or we uphold the rights of women. But then you see, as Mishka mentioned, women at the lower spectrum of the labor force or in a lower level of income, which, being impacted by high taxation, doesn't leave very much to take home and to maintain their family. As a result of the economic problem, the social problems we see very vividly in our society, problems of suicide, poor household income, destruction of community centers, playground and sports facilities, all across this Guyana, giving rise to the rum culture in rural communities. I particularly like the fact that she mentioned that resources will be spent on training of police and other areas and daycare, but more importantly, the accountability of the resources. Very much lacking in both PPP and PNC administrations has been the failure of accountability, the poor governance we talk about. And that's the distinction that Change Guyana brings, that when you spend taxpayers' money, you get value and it's being properly accounted for. It's not going in the pockets of politicians. Not so long as I'm the leader of this party. Also very relevant is the fact that single parent need grants. I mean, APNU administration has removed that grant. But even the fact that a grant was there, it was just $10,000. I mean, what could $10,000 buy? $10,000 per annum is a disrespect. You're recognizing a problem, but you're not dealing with the problem. It's very half-hearted and unpatriotic that the needs of people who need to be supported are being treated in such a disrespectful way. $10,000 per annum, it can't buy a school bag, or it can't buy food for a month for that child. $10,000 is an embarrassment and a total disrespect for single parents and single families. So we will address that problem to ensure that at least the school cost of sending a child will be guided by that. The cost of sending a child to school, we will formulate our grant in relation to what it costs a child to go to school, and not at this embarrassing $10,000 per annum. At the same time, they doubling their salaries and perks. I mean, look at the increase in perks just before the election, articulated by the president the other day. It's embarrassing, and single parents throughout the country having to support kids in school cannot get a decent single grant to assist with those expenses. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to repeat some of our plans, which I unveiled at a town hall meeting in New Amsterdam last week. And I'll indicate the reason for doing so. As I mentioned, we will have a royalty of $5 per metric ton on bauxite exported to fund developments in New Amsterdam and Kokwani. You would have been reading about the problems in Kokwani, about not even a 1% increase being given to the workers there. If any investor cannot afford $5 a ton for bauxite, it's better we reorient the people of Kokwani and Linden away from bauxite, because we are not getting anything at all, not even $1 royalty. So we will put that $5 and spend that money in New Amsterdam, Linden, and Kokwani. We'll have a shore base oil services facility on Crab Island, private sector led. We'll give the incentives to the private sector to do that, to create thousands of jobs, high-paying jobs for the displaced sugar workers and all the youths in East Berbice. We'll open vast acres of lands on the east bank of Berbice for agricultural development, dairy, beef, oranges, limes, avocados, cocoa, rice. These could multiply the income of rural community 100 times what they're getting from sugar. So we'll reorient people away from sugar and towards entrepreneurship so that they can experience what the rice farmers have been experienced over the years, being independent and not loyal to one political party or either political parties. We will lease lands to displaced sugar workers to enable them to start their own agro business, with the government providing technical, marketing, and product development support. We will facilitate private sector investments in large-scale agro-processing, given the unique nature of arable lands in East Berbice. We will make East Berbice the hub of agricultural development in Guyana. We will have a cogeneration facility at Albion bringing 20 megawatts of electricity. All investments in East Berbice will be designated tax-free for 5 years until companies develop their businesses and start to make profits. And we will address the spiraling crime and blackouts in that area. These projects will generate thousands of jobs, and it will lift these rural communities out of poverty. But more importantly, it will move people into small, medium-sized businesses. Over time, it will become family business, so that's how we empower people and we put them on a path of entrepreneurship and taking care of their own needs rather than keeping them in the cane fields cutting cane. I repeated these plans for 2 reasons. Firstly, to demonstrate our level of strategic thinking in bringing about solutions to the economic underdevelopment endemic under repeated PPP and APNU administrations. Their leadership failures in implementing policies and programs to stimulate investments by Guyanese in our own country has resulted in this resource-rich country being the poorest in the region, with unemployment of more than 30% and a per capita income quarter that of Barbados. Unless Guyanese are given a meaningful stake in our own economy rather than only being employed in the cane fields and call centers, we will never realize our true potential. Our focus must be local value creation, hence our plans to have strong local content, policies, and legislations. In addition, our entrepreneurial fund and fiscal policies will energize small and medium-sized businesses, resulting in high export earnings. The second reason is that the PPP and APNU has been copying our policies on the campaign trail, sometimes word for word. This vividly reflects their continued incompetence, shallow thinking, and poor leadership. PPP and APNU, the architects of extortionately high taxes, throughout their 23 years of reign in office, now copying word for word our Change Guyana low tax, growth-oriented, job-creating reform policies. At a rally in Bartica, one presidential candidate claimed that, and just understand how humorous this is, I know Bartica, and I know Region 7. I know Guyanese love nice vehicles. We will lower tax on vehicles. Then they scream again that they will double old age pension after being so mean to our pensioners in the past 3 decades. Immediately after I mentioned this in Skeldon 2 weeks ago. Well, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear the Guyanese love nice vehicles. The question is, when did they learn that we like nice vehicles or we need livable pension? 5, 10 years ago? Or a month ago when I outlined this very policy? Or is it just another promise out of the many they are using to fool us again? Who in their right mind will trust any in the PPP's or APNU's hierarchy? They continue to lie about their candidates' qualification and the $18 million sign-in bonus when all the evidence showed otherwise. Would you trust them again? One of them even said, "I thought it was a gift," referring to the $18 million sign-in bonus from Exxon. On the campaign trail, those who have consistently failed us are the loudest. They now lay claim to solutions they never had before in the last 3 decades. The proven corrupt now claiming honesty. Those that propagate abuse of power, violate our Constitution, and foster poor governance and corrupt practices, now claiming openness and decency. The contradiction with their record in government is startling. What could the PPP presidential candidate tell us of their failed housing policy of packing ordinary Guyanese at Diamond while parceling out hundreds of acres at Providence to PPP cronies? What could he say on the massive kickbacks in the allocation of house lots that provides the foundation of their personal asset accumulation? What would he say about the land grab at Pradoville 1 and 2 and their personal assets amounted to more than 100+ times their annual income? What could President Granger say on a silence on oil contracts that give us a mere 2% royalty? Why weren't there a commission of inquiry on the processes and negotiations involved in the midst of widespread public criticism? And what about the repeated disrespect and violations of our Constitution in the appointment of James Patterson as Elections Commission chairman, and Winston Felix and Keith Scott as minister of his government? And why aren't Guyanese taking a united front in demanding better accountability before waving flags of the palm tree and the cup? Are we making the same mistakes we have been making in the past? These are serious questions we must answer before March the 2nd. We have to make noise and let our voices heard to usher in a new era of governance in our country. Do we want to move in the direction of progressive countries or remain in poverty under failed leadership and poor governance and policies of the PPP, APNU, PNC administrations? It is a proven fact that people in countries that change their governments often are the most progressive. Make no bones about it, Guyanese have already been sold out by both PPP and APNU. And it was Simon Mwasa Kapwiwi who in 1967 said this: "If we don't handle our independence very well, colonizers will come back as investors," and it's so relevant today in 2020. We have been sold out by the PPP and APNU. Their extravagant spending is clear indication that we have been sold out to big contractors and hidden interests, both foreign and local. Look at the campaign spending, the flags, the dancing, the soca music, the alcohol, the drums, the shuttling of people. We have been sold out to big contractors and hidden interests. Unless we consciously commit to send them packing, we will be paying for the flags that we are waving at their rallies. And we'll be paying for much more other than the flags, because their loyalty is their financiers, not us, not Guyanese. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Change Guyana Comments.